at me now. Check me out. Look at me now. Look at me now. Check me out.
Our winner, Cynthia!
Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lardo here with another episode of the PitchIT podcast. Haven't made a different name up yet. However, I'm on with my co-host, Andrea Barrow. How are you today?
Hello, I'm fantastic, Sean. How are you?
Doing quite well, actually. What this is all about here, for anybody that has not seen, this is a way for us to share the information and the word about the PitchIT competition, which takes place in November at IT Nation Connect, where we have startup vendors from across the industry that are all here to support MSPs. And the goal behind it all is that they are going to be in a Shark Tank-like competition to win the grand prize of $70,000.
That's right. The grand prize of $70,000. Second prize, $30,000. And Sean, what does third prize get?
Marvin B's steak knives.
That's right. So truly everyone is a winner if you become a finalist in the PitchIT program. And I would say every participant in the cohort is truly a winner as well. That I'm sure we're going to hear from some of our former contestants today, and they'll tell you how they were also actual winners, but also won by just being part of the program.
Yes. Also, not to mention, both of these people today that we have on were the recipients of the Uncle Marv's steak knives.
That's right. Do you think they are able to bring samples and like have them on display to show us? I would love that.
I would hope so.
All right. So Sean, we're going to be doing the PitchIT podcast. How often?
Every 2 weeks, Thursday morning, 8 a.m. release on all IT Nation socials and YouTube.
That's right. So to kick off this episode of the series, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest. We have Matthew from Nodeware.
Hey, Kelly and Mark. How are you today? I'm so happy to be on the show. And Sean knows this, Andrea, so I'm going to tell you for the future, since we'll speak again, I am still very sore about these steak knives. I just want you to know, because not only did I get steak knives, but they were crappy steak knives. And I left them in the Airbnb in Orlando because I couldn't get them on the plane.
Wow.
Wait, I have a question though. You
emphasize
emphasize steak quite significantly. Do you have something against steak? Are you a vegetarian?
Oh, no, I like steak. I have something against Marvin B. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-oh, watch out.
Marvin, if you see this, I love you, man. I do. I just don't like your steak knives.
He's going to see it. We're going to tag him on the post.
Next year, can we get some like J.A. Henkel's or something? I mean, it's only $100.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
So, Matthew, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Nodeware? Give us your pitch.
Sure. Sean will kill me if I don't do this right, but Nodeware is a continuous vulnerability management platform. We deploy in under 30 minutes. We find all CVEs, critical vulnerabilities. We give you a way to break it down by customer, patch it, remediate it, and provide all the guidance and information you need to make it quick and easy to manage these things. Plus, we are proactive, not reactive. And I say that only because if you knew how many conversations I have about the difference between proactive and reactive cybersecurity, you would know why I'm saying that.
Well, now I'm super curious to know, what is that actual number when you're having to decide, hey, no, this is proactive, this is reactive? How many times a day, you think?
I would say if I do 6 demos a day, 4 of them.
Okay, so that's significant.
There's still a lot of confusion between vulnerability management, pen testing, EDR, XDR, and all the things that go into it. So, I made a great graphic triangle that talks about it and helps explain that, and then move forward from there.
Very nice. Yeah, I would say the world of cybersecurity can be a very intricate one, that it's sometimes a little bit challenging to understand all the moving parts. So I love to hear that you created a nice infographic for us visual learners out there. So very much appreciate that.
Yeah, I just feel bad because there's so much stuff they got to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Try
Absolutely.
to break it down and say, look, you have to have proactive, you have to test the proactive, and you have to have reactive.
Mhm.
Care whose software you use, I don't care what products you use, you got to have those 30.
Yep, for sure.
By the way, I do care. Use Nodeware. Thank you.
All right. So why don't you share with the audience what your role in the PitchIT program has been? Because it's not just you were a participant. What else did you do in the program for us?
I was a coach. And the cool
right.
thing about coming in third, no, I'm sorry, being in the top three, is the next year you get to be a coach. And that honestly has been a blast. I have loved working with matter of fact, I am still working with the company that I coached because I just love what they did so much. I told them, let's continue to work together because it's fun.
Yeah, I love that. Well, on that note, I think that's the perfect timing. You want to go ahead and introduce the company you had an opportunity to coach?
Sure. So SeedPod Cyber has a unique proposition for MSPs that allow them to use their customers' cyber liability insurance as a wedge to sell more services. And it costs them absolutely nothing to do. They just have to have the mindset of asking to look at the policy. So I'd love to introduce CEO and founder and my friend, Doug Kreitzberg.
Hey, how are you? Thanks, Matthew. Appreciate it. Hi, Andra. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Howdy.
Doing great. Welcome to the show, Doug. So happy to have you on.
Yeah. And I just want to introduce you to the steak knife. It's actually a $35,000 steak knife that Marvin B. So technically I was second there, but actually I traded in the Marvin B. steak knives. I walked into a knife store and he said that I threatened him to get these knives with the Marvin B's. It was just
It's all about perspective, Doug. You know,
right,
I mean, come on. That is fantastic. I am so happy that we actually got to see one of our steak knives in real time.
That's right.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
If you
you.
want to see one of mine, just run to the dollar store and see it there.
But it was certainly a great experience, and we could talk about a lot of things. The one thing I would always emphasize is the connections that you make during the process. One of which is certainly working with my coach and continuing to work with them, and Matthew is really helping us out well too. So.
That's awesome to hear. And having both of you on is a true testament of seeing like how PitchIT can truly help make those connections and build out the community of our, not just our startup vendors, but our vendors in the ecosystem overall in the IT nation. So I think that's probably one of my favorite things about the program is seeing the connections that are participants and former participants and coaches and all of our presenters, everyone somehow in some way or shape makes a meaningful connection through the program. And I love seeing that come to light.
Right.
I think a lot of vendors learn more about the industry as a whole, because a lot of them are younger vendors. And I think one of the things they learn is that this is a really large community. Industry, but it's a very small community. And everybody's got to work together. I don't care if it's your competitor. Everybody's got to work together. The formula is kind of there for you. You just have to be willing to follow it and do the right things, and you can be really successful. Right.
Yeah, I think the and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. About the PitchIT program is focusing on making connections and kind of lean in on that. And if you do, that's where the real success is gonna draw on. It's nice to be, it certainly was nice to be a finalist, to be able to present on stage. But I would say most of, the uplift that we've seen in our business since then has been as much from just the connections that I made during PitchIT as it was just being on stage, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
It's
it's fantastic. And as I've always said in the dozens of these that we've talked about, one of the things that I really like, besides the exposure and the increase in business and everything, like Doug said, the relationships that were made, it was also cool to watch our company come together for a common cause. We all wanted to get to the finals. So therefore, instead of finance doing finance things and marketing doing marketing things, right? Everybody went, okay, what do we got to do? Right? Because everybody took pride in getting to those finals. So it's really nice to see the company internally come together for a common goal, and everybody was hands on deck. What was even better is nobody asked. Everybody wanted hands on deck because they were proud of what we were doing and wanted to get the company to the next level. And in this particular case, they had the ability to do so. So it did some nice things internally too. Right.
And one of the nice things is you really don't need to prepare to be in PitchIT. You have to have a business and, a startup, there's certain, but, I was one of those that filled it out at the last moment I was fortunate to be accepted. I had no idea what I was in for. And then all of a sudden my calendar was filled with all these meetings and wasn't sure still what was going to happen. And it was really just the, diving in and you're exposed to a lot of great content, but then the camaraderie and the relationships you build with your cohort, the other PitchIT folks, and then obviously with the relationships that ConnectWise was able to connect us in. And, the speakers themselves, they're subject matter experts, par none, and you get access to them that you really may not have been able to get. I wouldn't even know that they existed. So a lot of good things, but I had no idea what I was getting into, and Sean likes to keep you guessing along the way too. So even when you're in it, you're not sure what the next step is.
And I'll throw one more in there. I want to make sure that if you apply for PitchIT, it's one of the best things you can do for your company. You get tons out of it. Whether you're just going to the meetings and you get a ton out of it, you make the finals and there's so much exposure and sales and relationships and learning that goes on that make it worthwhile. But here's the one caveat I'll say. Be prepared to do some work. If you're not prepared to step away from your business for an hour a week, doesn't have to be forever, but at least an hour a week in focus, you shouldn't put in an application because you're only going to get out of it what you actually put into it. And if you're one of those owners saying, oh, it'd be great applying for PitchIT, blah, blah, but you're not willing to do any time, don't apply because you're taking up a spot for someone else that really wants it, wants to learn, wants to grow, wants the exposure. So that's the caveat I'll make, that if you want to apply to PitchIT, no, you're going to have to put in an hour a week, maybe even 2 hours a week, no more than that. But you got to be willing to do that. If you can't step away from your business for that long, don't do it.
Yeah, that's some very sound advice for sure. Thank you for sharing that with the group here. 'Cause I'm sure that's probably, one of the key questions that a lot of folks have prior to be able to apply, right? Like, what should I be prepared for? How much is this actually going to take of my time? So love the fact that you just brought that up and you're giving the audience what they're likely asking for, right? So it's kind of transitioning a little bit here. Looking back at when you initially joined the PitchIT program, and you kind of see to where you are today, what would you say is the major turning point for your business because of the PitchIT program? And
from our standpoint, my standpoint, it really kind of took us from the kids MSP pool into the adult swim of the MSP community there, and that was really understanding how the community worked, what the interaction, how to leverage conferences in a way that can work for your benefit, how to stand out, quite frankly, and how to take, we're all subject matter experts in our own little business, right? How to take that and communicate in a way that an MSP can understand. I think that is, kind of that, the outside in perspective that you rarely get, and you get candid feedback. It's not just, you're not just being paid lip service by others. They're really pushing you. So I think that would be the primary, and then additionally, and it's continued now, certainly, but is making sure that, and it came up during the training, that the MSPs, you have to do one of three things for them. You've got to help them grow, you help them save, or you have to help them reduce risk. And if you can do maybe two of those, if you can do it well, so much the better. And I think so many times we think, oh, we've got the single pane of glass, blah, 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 and it's flashing lights. But if it ain't helping the MSP, and you can't, even if it could, if you can't communicate and you can't show them how they can live it, then you're not going to go anywhere. And that we're really, we've gone a long way, certainly, and the PitchIT program helped us do that.
Yep. It's one of the things I always say, which is you may love your product. You may think your product's fantastic, but at the end of the day, it's the MSP in this case buying it. So if you're not listening to them, what they want, what are you doing? Because at the end of the day, I could have a great idea. The MSPs don't care about it. What's the point in putting it in? But you have a lot of owners that need that, I'll just say what it is, need that slap upside the head, because they're focused on their little world, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And this opens up a new perspective for them that, oh, yeah, maybe I should listen to this one and this one. And, maybe getting some feedback is a good thing. And, I'll kind of echo what Doug said. I've been doing this longer than Dirk. Actually, I think I may have been doing it longer than Sean at this point. Anyway, we're probably just as old. But anyway.
No, you're older.
Shh. But I look better. But anyway, the reality is I've been doing this a long time. So 70% of it, I probably had somewhat under control. 30% of it definitely was learning new tricks and, stuff like that, or even taking stuff I knew and expanding on it. But the real benefit to us, besides getting sales, of course, we got sales out of it, the exposure. Being a 5-year-old startup in this community, in this industry, is really hard. It's really, really hard, because the one thing that leads to sales, the MSPs, to Doug's point, have to know you exist. What's your value proposition? How you can help them. They want to see you. They want to touch you. You have to have that brand awareness. And in a lot of cases, I think a lot of vendors struggle getting that brand awareness out there, even if they have a great product. So one of the things it did for us is it amplified my efforts for brand awareness by about 1,000 times. And that has turned into sales even to this day, where someone goes, hey, I've heard about you all over the place. And I absolutely can attribute that back to a lot of what was done with PitchIT, because of the exposure we got everywhere.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I love to be able to work with on this program, is having all the different relationships, not just with our, guest speakers and presenters, but being able to now also work with all of the industry podcasters, right? And they've been so gracious to bring our contestants onto their shows and give you an opportunity to really, do dry runs of your pitches. And I think that's probably one of the key points of this program is you come into it with what you think is the right pitch. And, after the 16 weeks, ideally you've had some changes and refinement to that pitch, and getting an opportunity to really share those on these different podcasts and live streams. I'm happy to hear that's been beneficial. If we're kind of looking at back to before PitchIT, life after PitchIT, what could you pinpoint that you are doing differently in your business because of PitchIT today?
Brushing my hair.
Oh, it looks fabulous, by the way.
Before PitchIT, I had hair. I was brushing it every morning and shampooing it. I did PitchIT, and this is what happens. Thank you.
I think Sean has a similar scenario.
I think from my standpoint, it is the continual focus on delivering value to the MSP. I was just on a call with an MSP earlier today who, they're shopping around for folks that do what we do in the insurance space. And, I went through it and he was ready to move forward to the next step. I said, just out of curiosity, what makes this conversation different than the other ones that you had? And I won't go into a lot of detail, but it really had to do with they weren't seeing the value from the other conversations, and I think our ability to communicate that value and communicate what we do in a way that resonates is really the biggest takeaway I would say from the PitchIT experience there. And I think for I've been doing this. I was doing this a little bit before, but I'm doing it a lot more now. Is PitchIT helps you really focus on the business and not just in the business. And as a matter of fact, those hours that Matt mentioned that you're spending is really productive because you are working on the business. You may be doing something to deliver for the PitchIT and what they're asking you to do, but it's all good stuff because it's really helping you retool, reshape, represent who you are as a company, so that you can grow. Quite frankly.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes that's one of the hardest things about running a business, right? You're so focused on working in it and getting into the day-to-day, and you got to be able to pull yourself out and focus on the overarching goals that you're truly after there. And hopefully PitchIT helps you focus on that a little bit more.
Right.
So
Yeah, I would agree.
very good. Awesome. So in terms of overall sales, new business, are you experiencing an uptick in more interest, or is there a different way that you've been able to better position yourself when talking to new clients?
It's just I'm working right now on a presentation to our investors, and the traction since November has really been incredible, and there's a number of things that certainly have played into it here, but we're getting folks reaching out to us at an accelerated degree than we were before. Where people are and there's a lot more that we can do in terms of brand awareness and that we want to do, but that people that what we did during the PitchIT has given us a lot of great exposure. So we're having the best quarter that we've ever had, and our pipeline is full, and now I got to bring it home. So
that's a good thing to have, full pipeline.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Exactly.
Awesome. Now, if we're looking at the coach and participant relationship or finalist relationship we have here, Matthew and Doug, can you kind of describe what the engagement was like between finding out you were a finalist, Doug, and then leading up to the competition in November?
I remember the presentations that each of the prior year's finalists had done, and to be quite honest, I was afraid of Matthew. He's a very strong personality. He's been there, done that, and and I'm we're I was thinking, well, we're insurance, we're kind of non-sexy, this guy's probably going to be bored out of his mind, and he may have been bored out of his mind. I don't really know, but he really kind of came with enthusiasm and energy that really, took me to another level as well. And he wasn't afraid to call bullshit when, I would do a presentation and he said, nobody's going to care about that. Even though I thought that they should. And he has a great way to just, I don't know if you remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks, and who's a 10-year-old, and he's sitting in the meeting and they're talking about some toy and he says, I don't get it. I don't understand why. And Matthew has a great way of taking, the multi-syllable words that I say and then collapsing it into, a single sentence that can resonate with an MSP. And then funnily enough, when I actually use his words to an MSP, they actually listen. And so that's been a great experience. I don't know why, the third place from the year before helped coach someone to be third place this year. We'll have to hopefully change it going forward.
Yeah, Sean, looks great in the camera, bud.
Sorry,
I
Doug.
will say, in Sean's defense, it is a random generated system.
I get it. That has nothing to do with
We
it.
put the company names in, we spin the wheel, and they assign each other.
I get it.
This one,
Yeah,
we
that is
can't blame
true.
on
Next,
Sean.
Doug.
This one.
Had I known Doug, I would have coached you instead.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
I think I'm hurt. I think. I'm not sure yet. I'll resonate on that until this evening. I'll let you know. No, it was great being a coach. I mean, as Doug said, getting to know someone else's business without pressure. And what I mean by without pressure is I felt pressure to help him succeed, but without pressure of having to deliver on something tomorrow for me that you're going to make us $1 million or something. It was a blast. And if you do it right, you get to dig in on the hows and the whys and the wheres and the, and as Doug said, you guys know this. I've known you guys forever. I have no filter. I really don't anymore. I don't care. But I'll ask, why the hell should I care about this? And I try to always do it from an MSP perspective to say, look, here's what MSPs care about. How does this do that? What value does this bring to them? And what was great about SeedPod, though, is I'll be honest, as soon as Doug explained it to me, I got it. I don't think he got it as quickly. I got it, and I was like, oh, yes. I know exactly how we need to go after this. And it's been a lot of fun because I think what they have, and I'm not meaning to make this a commercial for them, is not only needed, but freaking amazing. I mean, how would you like as an MSP to do something that doesn't cost you any money and be able to sell more services? I don't know about you. I'd like that every day of the week. So, Doug was great to work with. He took feedback well. He was excited to hear what I had to say. We went back and forth and we practiced stuff. And then, he'll tell me, oh, no, this needs to stay in and this is why. And we'd say, okay, let's do it in this order then or whatever. So it was a lot of fun. It was great. And as I said, the relationship continues because I'm so excited about what they do and how they do it. And every once in a while, I like working with Doug too.
No, again, I think as we talked about in the beginning, one of the best things about PitchIT is the relationships you're able to build, and the coaching relationship is certainly one that is paid dividends and is still paying dividends for us as we move forward.
All right, so we have one final question for you. We want to end on a high note here. And Doug and Matthew, if you can think back to when you received that phone call from Sean Lardo, probably around the September timeframe, calling to say, guess what? You're a finalist from PitchIT. Can you please describe to the audience what that felt like? Matthew,
I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised as well, to be quite honest. I had, we're insurance. We're kind of this amorphous product. Nobody likes insurance people. We're right at the bottom of the food chain as far as trust goes, and then to find out and then the presentations. I worked my ass off all August on it and ripped up and put things together. I didn't think, I thought it was nice. I put some energy in, and but that would be it. And so I was actually floored. I couldn't believe it. It was good that Sean didn't do it personally. I would have, smooched him all over the place and made him embarrassed. But it was great.
I would have just felt loved. And I believe Doug's response when I called him, he was like, "No way, nah, really? I'm a finalist."
That's bullshit. Well, maybe it was that way.
Inside, he was very, very, very
Inside. That was me being
He was
excited.
He was excited. He was just in disbelief. And
Right.
he said, "No, really? No."
Yes.
Well, my reaction was, what the hell did I just do? That was my reaction. My reaction was, oh my God, this actually resonated. Oh my God, I have to present in person now. What the hell did I just do to myself? We were really excited because, as I said, the software had been around forever, but we were a 5-year-old startup. So for it to resonate with the MSPs as well as management at ConnectWise, we were thrilled with it, because that kind of validated the fact that we had something people actually cared about. And that's always nice. It's always nice to get that pat on the back and say, hey, you're doing something that means something. And as I said, then my second thought was, damn, I got to redo the presentation and give it in person, and I got to time it, and I got to not go over because Sean will yell at me. And yeah.
You hate attention. Oh, please don't let me get on stage and talk in front of everybody. I agree.
Yes, but I like it when it's my deal, not when you go and go 449, 450, 4. For those that you don't know what we're talking about, you get 5 minutes. 5 minutes to give your entire presentation on stage. And if you learn one thing from going through the entire thing of PitchIT, you make it to the finals, you better have a very concise, effective, straightforward value proposition. Because if you're like anybody else, any owner, any VP of sales, you're going, oh, wait, I forgot a point. Oh, yeah, I got to say that. Oh, my God, I got to say that. Guess what? You don't have time. You better get it down, make sure it's effective, make sure it makes all the points you want, and make sure you can do it in under 5 minutes. Now, it sounds horrible, and it was, but it also taught us a lot. You learned, as we kept talking about here, it taught you how to break things down into a concise manner to make the same impact as if you were giving a 15-minute elevator pitch or something. So all in all, it was a great experience. Doing it at the time, I was losing my mind trying to get stuff into 5 minutes. Because as you said, Sean, I like, little.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I think that is a great note to end on here today, sharing with folks who are listening in what is the key refinement point that you need to ensure you have ready to rock and roll on main stage at IT Nation Connect in Orlando in November for the PitchIT competition. Getting to the point, being concise. You got 5 minutes, and after that 5 minutes, we literally do pull you off stage. So we don't want anybody to actually experience that.
It's a big hook, too. It hurts.
It
You forgot
is.
to take the fishing barb off last time.
We'll make a note of that for this year.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to experiencing the PitchIT finalist alumni reception. Matthew told me all about it. It was a penthouse suite, and
Yeah.
free everything.
Hey,
Yeah, I
remember
think
about
Nodeware is the one who's hosting it, so that's perfect. Yeah,
we get to use the
Thank
steak
you
knife
to our
before they
sponsors,
go to
Nodeware.
yeah. Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
generous.
I was gonna say we get to use the steak knife before he hands them out. Really good steak.
We couldn't have done
Um,
it without Andrew Hoyt and Nodeware for sponsoring that penthouse suite. Thank you
Exactly.
guys for approving that.
Hey, I'm glad you said his name and not mine. That works. Thank you, Andrew.
Awesome. Well, hey, Doug, Matthew, thank you so much for your time today. We super appreciate you coming on, sharing your PitchIT stories with the group here today. We will be broadcasting this episode Thursday at 8 a.m. on all of our socials. Follow the IT Nation, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yep.
Anywhere else, Sean? I don't know.
Twitter, Instagram.
Sure.
That's 8 a.m. Kazakhstan time, right?
That's correct.
Yes. I always sleep in for this.
Oh, man.
There's a
Well, set an
there's a
alarm
strong
for this
market
one,
there.
Doug. Set an alarm.
Strong
It's-
market. Strong
it's
marketing
a-
with Axiom. There's a big market. Yeah,
It's a huge market.
Mhm.
it is. Glad you're looking into it. So thank you guys.
Look at me now. Look at me now.